Shining is a spooky film about a writer who goes crazy while staying at a remote hotel in the Colorado Rockies with his family. First, he writes an insane amount of standards on his typewriter, then screams like a maniac at his wife and chases her around, and then he starts chopping people with an axe. There's also a pretty famous scene where blood shoots out of an elevator and gets all over the place. Sounds pretty messy. So a better title for this movie could be Axe Body Spray. The Mist is mostly a great movie about a mysterious mist that forms over a small town and hosts terrifying creatures that attack the locals. But it bears the problem of, spoiler alert, having a shockingly sad and depressing ending. I think the filmmakers missed a huge opportunity to give this movie a satisfying conclusion. So let's rename this one You Missed Up. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise has a very odd title because it's geo-specific. You want to know how to defeat Leatherface? Just put him on a truck and drive him to the next state. Not very scary. So a more menacing name for this franchise could be Global Chainsaw Massacre. I love Bone Tomahawk. It's a fantastically thrilling story about cowboys that go up against creepy humanoid monsters set in the times of the Old West. Great story, great monsters, great cast overall, but there is a small change that I would make. In one memorable and horrifying scene, one of the characters gets split in half, upside down, and first. So I think this character could have been played by a famous action star who would have much better fit the role. We could then rename the movie Bone Tomahawk, featuring Jean-Claude Van Damme. Compared to the first Poltergeist, Poltergeist 2 is not a great movie. However, it does feature one of the most terrifying villains in all of cinema history. So I think a good alternate title for this film would be First Place in the Scary Old Dude Olympics.
You're gonna die in there, all of you!
Naming this movie Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey was a really dumb marketing idea. By putting the word blood in the title, you are totally ruling out a part of your viewing audience. Winnie the Pooh is a franchise made for the whole family, so I think this movie would have performed a lot better at the box office if it was named The Further Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. 28 Days Later is a fantastic zombie apocalypse film that has a sequel called 28 Weeks Later. The third upcoming film in the series will be called 28 Months Later. My advice for this franchise is to stop advancing units of time for the sequels because no one will be around when 28 Mega Annums Later comes out, so let's just call each additional movie Later. The Dead Zone is an entertaining movie starring Christopher Walken as a man who has a near-death experience and gains special powers that allow him to see visions of the past and future. The thing is, there's also a TV show based on the same story starring Anthony Michael Hall in the lead role. So to make it easier for audiences to know which one is which, I think we should rename the movie The Walking Dead Zone. No one really remembers anything about The Wicker Man except that it's a terrible, cheesy movie with one very famous scene in the extended version where Nicolas Cage gets tortured in the most ludicrous way. So I think a more fitting title for this film would be B-Movie. An American Werewolf in London is a really cool werewolf movie with a very odd name. I think werewolves are interesting enough on their own, so I think a better title for this movie could be Who the F Cares What Nationality It Is? It's a Werewolf. As you know, The Omen traumatized a whole generation with its depiction of the spawn of Satan in the role of a small child. It also traumatized a small percentage of the male population at the time and caused annoyances for certain male children born afterward. Please be good to your sons. As a public service, let's retitle this movie Don't Ever Name Your Child Damien.